Morning.
Morning.
I am John McLean, and it is the delight of my life that I get to be here on Sundays with all y'all, as we say, Nashville. I did this last time, but I need to always take a moment. What I love about churches this size is that you can actually see everybody's eyes. That means a great deal to me. And yesterday we had a wonderful afternoon. I can't speak for everybody, but most, and it was a wonderful, rewarding and interesting and uplifting afternoon. It was otherwise called a new member orientation, which sounds pretty boring and awful. But I kind of wish that everybody had been there, because it was meaningful conversation. We learned about each other. Half the people are coming into membership, and the other half are folks who have been coming to this church for quite a while. It was a beautiful experience, and it reminded me of the importance of gathering together. Because Susan appropriately changed a lyric in there, but in the Rainbow Connection, which I love, Kermit sings, "Could this be magic?" And there is magic in fellowship. There is something that happens. Some of our desire for fellowship still, and probably for quite a while, is a lingering effect from the quarantine. I find that I am still people hungry. I'm eager to be around other people face to face after several years of not being able to do that. And that's because we're an upright walking animal, and we are hardwired for that need. We are hardwired in our brain and biology to seek the company of others, mostly as an animal for safety reasons. But then there's another thing that happens. When people get together, there is, as they call it in physics, an emergent property that occurs. And they call it that in metaphysics as well. And in a Sesame Street song, they call it magic. There's something that arises when people with a similar intention come together. And you can call it any numbers of things. You can call it the mystical body of Christ. You can call it an Holy Communion. You can call it presence. You can call it pure being. You can call it anything that you like. But it's so important because it's the only thing that satisfies yet another part of our nature, which is wholly spiritual and wholly angelic, W-H-O-L-Y, holy in its fullness. If we deny that aspect in ourselves, we're denying ourselves one of the best parts of being a human being and being alive. Without intention, without positivity, without focus, we remain pack animals. And we've seen what happens when people come together with violence on their mind. We know what a mob is. And when they're really about their business to do mischief. And this is over the whole sweep of human existence. This has been going on for at least 50,000 years. That even people can turn into a hive of killer bees. But fellowship uncorks a genie, brings magic into presence. And here comes that presence now by means of helicopter. Welcome, friend. I know that I have always had this experience. Consciously, I've had this experience for the 40 years that I've been going to church and leaving church. Is that every time I leave a Sunday gathering, I stand a little taller as I walk to my car, and I go, oh my golly, that was time well spent. And you know, the only thing we have is time, and we're not certain of the length of it while we're here. So any opportunity I can grab that will make me feel like, yeah, that was time well spent, is the greatest gift I can give to myself, right? And I hope that's why you're here. And I hope that that's the experience that you're having, that you will become mindful of. No matter what goes on, no matter how boring the speaker might be, it's always good to check in with other people who you know have a similar, not identical, but a similar world view. You know, a while ago, I was at a class, well, it wasn't ancient days, maybe 7 years ago. And there was a monk from the Vedanta tradition who was leading basic instruction in meditation. And I asked him, I said, why is it so much easier to meditate in a group than it is to do it all alone? Why do I go deeper when I'm with the group? Has anybody had that experience ever? Okay, right. It's a real thing. You feel it, you know that it's happening when it's happening. And he said, well, he had an answer prepared, because I'm sure he's been asked this question 1,000 times. And he said, well, you know when people are climbing a mountain? Yes, I've never done that, but I've seen pictures of it. You know how they're all tied together? And I went, yes, I understand that. He says, well, that's because if one person falls, everybody's still safe. And you pause for a moment, you get back, and there's extra strength in the group. I went, oh, like, duh. So when we're all here together, even when we're sharing an intention, we're enjoying a song together, it's that metaphysical rope that keeps the whole group going in the same safe, positive direction. This is that emergent property. That's fellowship that you can hold onto. And I simply love it. I love knowing that it's a real thing. What does that offer us in addition to safety, in addition to no guarantees in life, but this community that you're a part of? At its very best, community, fellowship, coming into membership is very much the same experience as getting married. There aren't any legal implications, however. But it's so that you might dare to do something, knowing that you have this community support that you might not dare doing alone. This is really simple stuff. And is it easy to get it? No, it's never easy. But it is very simple. That's why we do join in community, because we know however we are, wherever we are in our life, or however we are attempting to reach out in ways that we might not have dared before, right? Start a new business, end a failing business, start all over again. I've done that so many times in my life. I know that there is a group that has a beneficial energy that I am automatically a part of when I come to a gathering such as this. And if I make a commitment to my practice, which is what coming to church on Sunday is, it's one of your tools, it's part of your spiritual practice. When you make a real commitment to it, yet again, some enrichment happens. It's simply the way life works. And if you've never made a profound commitment to your life, by means of spiritual practice, or any endeavor, participation in any kind of group that seeks to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, however you define that. When you really make a serious commitment, something in you knows that you mean business this time, right? We have all, through our various experiences in life, each of us have read 100 books, I am sure, thinking, this time I'm going to get it because the magic is in this book. Or some of us may have been on a specific kind of diet every 6 months for the last 66 years, and you think, this time, this wonky formula is the one that's going to make the difference. Or some of us in our churches have year after year after year taken a magical abundance course, and this time I'm going to get rich, and it never, ever happens. Shocking? It never happens because we keep thinking, or we keep saying, you're going to be responsible for my magical transformation. This book, this class, this church, rather than this time, I mean it. And I find I don't need another book. Even in the Bible, it says, for the making of books, there is no end, and study is a weary to the soul. How many more books do I have to read? This many. But pick one and go deep. How many friends do I need? A good friend is a treasure forever, right? Do I need 100,000 likes on my Facebook page? Does that add up to anything? Nothing. Nothing. But one good friend, and if you're lucky, you might be married to that person, that trusts you implicitly for a great price, right? And one decent community that say, yeah, I dig what they're seeking to accomplish, making an effort to be in this community. And by lifting up this corner of Cottonwood, we help bless the whole world. Because that's all we can do, is this block of Cottonwood and your life, right? Our affirmations and our visions are lovely and they're very, very important. But the ultimate truth is that the only gift you give the world is the example of your life working. That's the only gift you can give the world, is to live in decency, compassion, creativity, and positivity, and you will inspire people for a lifetime. Simple? Yes. Easy? No. Not easy at all. The gathering yesterday afternoon, as I mentioned at the beginning, was ostensibly a new member orientation class. We learned so much about each other, about what we had in common. And the thing is, I don't know other people's stories, but I know that everybody's story who's here is pretty much the same. Because what we have in common is we had to leave the tribe of our birth to seek a spiritual path. And that was scary for many. Many faced condemnation from their own family or the churches of their birth. And maybe it was lonely for a long time. But you know, if you have a place where you can come and be in your spiritual practice, that's why you're here, for you to be in your spiritual practice first and foremost. You find support and appreciation and constant encouragement. People have accused me of having low expectations in life, And I think I've got very high expectations. I just don't need things anymore. I'm an older man. I don't need things. Encouragement, yes. To have the privilege of looking right into somebody's eyes and to seeing my own reflection, that's communion. That's deep fellowship. We want to, as we end this part of the service today, we want to acknowledge the folks without embarrassing them that are coming into membership today. So would you stand so we can see who you are? People coming into membership today, don't make me come down here. This is from Jeanette and myself. And this is Kat and Ted and Katie and Patricia and Melody. This is from Jeanette and myself. And I reach over that way. Thank you so much. And I have a reading that I'd like to do for you and for all of us. But also, I'd like to offer just a tiny twist on the regular unity blessing. So if you would look at the person who is standing nearest to you and say after me, each phrase after me, we love you. We love you. We bless you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ in you. We behold the Christ in you. Doing great things as you. Doing great things as you. And let's welcome our new members. I'm always seeking readings for myself. And the ultimate positive feeling that I can get is when I read something and I go, my God, that makes me feel re-enrolled in the whole idea all over again. And that happens every time I hear the song Use Me. Did you ever sing that in this church? Ricky Byers, Use Me. Every time I hear that song, even though it's 30 years old, and even the peace song, frankly, I feel re-enrolled all over again as if for the first time in the possibilities for my life, for whatever community I'm participating in at the time. But I found a reading from a Unitarian minister. Is unity the same as Unitarian? Oh, no. We have many, many things in common. And I love a lot of the writings that their ministers do. But this was under their section called New Member Blessings. And I thought, I felt good reading it for myself. So I read this as a tribute to you folks who are coming into membership, for the folks that have been here or are members now. And well, everybody's a member, you're a child of God, right? You know, automatically you are. But this is what it says about fellowship and community. I want to be with people. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. But I don't want to be with like-minded people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for belonging. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, truth, though they have different thoughts and different opinions about all kinds of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with self-reliant people with good intention. I want to be with people that have many names or no name for God at all. I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, but who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all creation and let it guide their footfalls on the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that life is and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in this world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to a higher and more ethical way of being. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, kind, and who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises that I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, yet almost always a great adventure. In short, I want to be with you. Oh, together. Oh. Sweet and real. And isn't it cool that of all the things we could be doing, we choose to be here and to aspire to be this way? Our own authentic selves, right? But join hands in being part of the great solution and the beloved community. So let's conclude with half a moment of silence, please. I'll invite you to close your eyes so you won't be distracted by the attractive new members. One too many cups of coffee this morning. And to know this truth about yourself is that just as you are, just as you are, just as you are an original blessing, born to have an expansive, adventuresome life. And here, not just for your own good, but to advance the entire human race by revealing in ourselves what needs to be revealed and by healing in ourselves what needs to be healed. By holding the high watch and doing the good work. What an amazing group of people we are, and in every church across the country. What an amazing group of people who dared to think differently, who dared to reach out to life, knowing that there was a part of their soul that needed a place to find foothold, and that their hearts to find adventure. I give thanks for the truth teaching, this truth that you are at depth, perfect, whole, complete, and lacking nothing. I give thanks for all the teachers that have come before us to remind us of this. And I give thanks for each and every community that continues to do the work, week after week, of reminding us that we are indeed the thing itself. And together the people said, Amen. Amen. Thank you, friends. Thank you.